Shocking question and hidden truth. They say real men have sex 3 times a week. But if you're over 60, be careful. That number might be silently hurting you. I've had many older men walk into my clinic confused, not because they couldn't perform, but because they thought they were underperforming. They believed they were failing as men, simply because they couldn't keep up with some number they read online. They tell me things like, "I read somewhere that healthy men should have sex 3 times a week." My friends joke that if you're not doing it often, you're getting old. And then they start asking themselves, am I broken? Am I too old already? Let me be absolutely clear. There is no one-size-fits-all number for sexual frequency, especially after age 60. Most of those so-called standards come from studies on men in their 30s and 40s, when testosterone, heart health, and muscle recovery are at their peak. Trying to live up to that at 60 or older is not only unrealistic, it can actually backfire. Mental stress, loss of self-confidence, forcing your body into rhythms it no longer supports. And even worse, potential strain on your heart, hormones, and nervous system. Sex after 60 isn't a competition. It's a way of living, in the right rhythm with the right person at the right time. This video will reveal the medical truth behind that 3 times a week myth, and help you understand what a truly healthy sex life looks like for a man over 60. 3 times a week comes from the wrong demographic. You've probably heard it before. 3 times a week is the ideal for a healthy sex life. It sounds like serious advice, almost medical. But what most people don't realize is that number was never meant for men over 60. In fact, almost every study that suggests 3 times a week was based on men between the ages of 25 and 45, a time when testosterone is high, physical recovery is quick, and libido runs strong. For example, one of the most quoted studies came from the University of Chicago in 2004. It measured average sexual frequency across age groups. Men aged 30 to 39 reported having sex 2 to 4 times per week. But men over 60? The average dropped to just 1 to 2 times per month. And medically that's completely normal. Here's the problem. When numbers meant for younger men get simplified and turned into rules for all men, they create what I call silent pressure. Older men hear 3 times a week is the standard, and suddenly they start doubting themselves. They feel weak. They feel like they're not enough. And worse, they start forcing their bodies to meet standards that no longer fit who they are. You don't need to catch up with your 30s. You need to listen to your 60s. I once treated a 63-year-old man. He came in worried about mild erectile issues. We ran tests. His testosterone? Normal. Heart? Healthy. Neurological reflexes? All fine for his age. Still, he looked anxious and said, "Doc, I can only do it once a week. Does that mean I'm losing it?" I asked, "Do you feel tired? Are you still close with your wife?" He nodded. I told him, "Then you're doing just fine. The real problem isn't the frequency. It's thinking something is wrong when nothing is. So the next time someone tells you, you've got to do it 3 times a week to be a real man, ask yourself, for whom? At what age? In what condition? No one should be forced into a standard that was never built for their season of life. A man doesn't grow weak because he slows down. He grows weak when he clings to a standard that no longer belongs to him. Having sex too often after 60 can be harmful if it's out of sync. It may sound surprising, but having sex too often, especially when your body isn't ready, can actually backfire. I've seen many men over 60 push themselves too hard, trying to keep up with the performance they had in their 30s. And what happens? They end up exhausted, emotionally drained, and sometimes even showing early signs of hormone imbalance or cardiovascular strain. Here's why. By the time you reach 60, your biology is not what it used to be. Testosterone is naturally declining. Blood vessels aren't as elastic. Heart and lungs take longer to recover after exertion. and your sexual nervous system needs more time to reboot. That means if you're having sex too frequently, your body doesn't get the chance to fully recover. Testosterone can dip even lower. Blood vessels may constrict unexpectedly. And mentally you may feel anxious, tired, or restless instead of fulfilled. More isn't always better. If the rhythm is wrong, you burn yourself from the inside out. I once treated a 67-year-old man, healthy, strong, confident. But after reading an article claiming 3 to 4 times a week boosts testosterone, he pushed himself to keep up that pace. Within 2 months, he felt chronically fatigued, headaches, restless sleep, no longer enjoying intimacy. His tests showed nearly a 30% drop in testosterone, irregular blood pressure, and signs of nervous system fatigue. I asked him, "Do you still feel joy when you're with your wife?" He shook his head. "Now I just feel tired and afraid I'll fail." That's the danger. When sex becomes a task instead of a connection, it starts doing harm. Not just to your body, but to your confidence, your relationship, and your peace of mind. What every man over 60 needs to understand is, sex is part of your overall health, not a test of masculinity. Every body has its own biological rhythm. The question isn't, how many times? It's, does your body feel ready, and does your heart still want it? Sex after 60 doesn't need to be frequent. It just needs to happen at the right moment, to remind you that you're still alive. If after intimacy, you feel more tired, you sleep worse, or feel emotionally drained, that's your body asking you to slow down. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. Because only when you know when to pause, can you truly recover and sustain your manhood for the long run. Consistency matters more than frequency. It's about your own biological rhythm. After 60, sex is no longer a physical race. It becomes a personal rhythm, one that only your body truly understands. Many men come to me and ask, "Doctor, I only have sex once every 2 or 3 weeks, is that okay?" And I always say, as long as your body feels good and every moment is real, no one has the right to say you're doing it wrong. Because what matters isn't how much, but how consistently and in tune with your own biology. Think of your body like a clock. If you force it to tick faster than it's meant to, it breaks down. Leave it idle for too long and it stops altogether. The key is to keep it gently moving, just enough, so that your hormones, blood flow, nerves, and emotions don't rust. Sex after 60 doesn't have to be fiery. It just needs to be warm enough to remind you you're still alive. Here's something most people miss. Even small, gentle moments. A soft touch, a warm hug, a quiet kiss before sleep can stimulate the parts of your brain tied to sexual response, helping to keep your system awake and emotionally connected. I once spoke to a 72-year-old man. His wife had passed away, but he still had a nightly routine. He'd gently massage his lower belly and read a calming book. When I asked him why, he smiled and said, "I don't want my body to forget what it feels like to be loved." There's no one-size-fits-all standard. If once a month feels right, that still matters. If you're able to enjoy it twice a week without fatigue, that's a blessing. But if nothing happens for 6 months, a year, it's not just age. It's because your body has been forgotten for too long. And if that goes on, your sexual reflexes and erectile function might not come back, even if your desire does. The right rhythm isn't on a calendar. It's found through listening. As long as you stay connected to yourself, your body will answer. So instead of asking, "How many times a week should I be doing it?" try asking, "When was the last time I truly wanted to reach for my partner? Do I feel fulfilled, or just tired, afterward? Is my body recovering, or crashing?" The honest answers to those questions are the best prescription for your manhood after 60. A message to every man over 60. If you've stayed with me this far, I believe one thing about you. You haven't given up on the part of yourself that still matters. Not just your desire, but your dignity, your manhood, your need for connection. In this video we've uncovered 3 vital truths. The number 3 times a week was never meant for men over 60. It came from studies on younger men, and doesn't match the biological rhythm of aging. Having sex too often, if out of sync with your body, can actually hurt you, lowering testosterone, straining your heart, exhausting your nervous system, and draining your emotional joy. It's not about frequency. It's about consistency, softness, and the right moment. That's what protects and preserves your sexuality after 60. So if you've been feeling like you're not doing it enough, let me say clearly, that's okay. As long as every time you touch your partner, it comes from a real place. No rushing. No pushing. Just being there, fully with feeling. Frequency doesn't define who you are. The way you honor your desire. That's what defines a real man. And if you feel alone on this journey, you're not. There are millions of other men just like you, quietly trying to find their rhythm again, after 60. I invite you to leave a comment below. Say it with pride. I want to live in sync with my body. Or share whatever's on your mind. And if you felt something honest in what I've shared, hit subscribe. I'll be right here. As a doctor, as a man, as someone who dares to speak the truths others won't.